Okay, so you've made it into the course and you're thinking, what do I do now? Well, one of the things you're going to refer to often is the daily schedule. So if I click on the daily schedule, I see a suggested pattern of study for the whole semester. The way this is set up is like a brick and mortar class, which would normally in a summer semester meet 3 times a week. So you have 3 lectures a week. Here I've set it up for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And those are the lectures that you should watch that week. So you'd have to go into these chapters 19 and 20 and find these lectures and watch those lectures. You can watch these lectures anytime you wish, actually, during the week. The main thing is that you maintain the due dates for the quizzes and the labs that are generally due on a Sunday night by midnight on a Sunday night. So you can do the work anytime during the week, but you must adhere to the deadlines of the quizzes, the labs, and the exams. So this is set up for the Modern Physics Summer 2015, but this will be unique for your particular semester, so you want to check out your daily schedule. But your main thing is to work out problems. So how do you work out problems and learn the lecture material? Well, you go into the content. And let's say we're doing chapter 19. We'll go in there. And here are lectures, integrity, for the content of chapter 19. If I click on that, there are actually 2 lectures on video for this chapter. So I would watch those lectures, and if I wish, I can even look at the notes, which is on PDF files here. Look at this PDF file. These are the notes for the lectures. I can review that and understand the lecture from that. Going back, I note that in this chapter, there's an Essential 10 homework assignment. This assignment are the essential 10 problems of that chapter that represent the essential material of the chapter. Those problems of this assignment are part of the overall problem assignment, which is all the problems for that chapter. So if I look further down here, say under the problem set and educations, I see that there's a problem set at the head of this column here, a PDF file that has all the problems for that problem set. Now in a traditional class, at least when I took physics, the instructor would say, okay, here are your problems, go to it. And they probably would not work out any examples, and there would be nothing for me to work on to get an idea of how I should approach these problems. I would just be on my own. I would have to teach myself how to problem solve. Well, this is modern age, and we're not doing things that way. We actually have every problem worked out on video, short videos, usually from 2 to 5 minutes. And if I look at a video for a particular problem, I have it worked out on EduCreations, stroke by stroke, with me discussing it. I got the sound turned off for this EduCreations right now. But stroke by stroke, showing me how to work out the problem. And so what I want to do is maybe watch this video, see how I should approach the problem solving, and then when I'm done, close the video, reread the problem, and work it out myself. Unless you work out the problems yourself, you don't know it. Watching the videos will help you learn the techniques and help you avoid pitfalls and have you save a lot of time in terms of learning how to problem solve, but you don't really know it until you do it. So once you watch the videos, close the videos, reapproach the problem set and try to work out the problems on your own. And until you can do that, stroke by stroke, calculator, keystroke by keystroke, you don't really know it. So that's the way you should be practicing, is actually working them all out on your own. But once you do that, and once you especially do the essential 10 problems, you should be ready for the quiz. What about the quizzes? Once I look at the content in any particular chapter, I would do the Essential 10 homework assignment. Here's the one for Chapter 10. These problems, I would make sure I know these problems backwards and forwards. And then when I'm ready to take the quiz, I would go into the weekly quiz folder and select the quiz for that week, whatever was due at the end of that week. So I would select that quiz, and then it would start. I would begin it, and there would be a problem very similar to one of the Essential 10 problems, and I need to work it out during this quiz. So I would read this, look at the data here, come up with an answer, and select the appropriate answer on the left. And when I'm done, then I continue on to the next problem, and there will be 3 problems on your quiz. When I'm finished, I'll save and submit. In this case, I didn't answer any of them. And that'll be my quiz. So I want to work out the problem set, especially the Essential 10 problems. The quiz problems will be selected from those Essential 10 for the lecture of that week. And I'll just change a few numbers, and those will be on the quiz. And that's it. I want to complete the quiz by midnight on Sunday of that week. 15% of your grade is the lab grade. So how do the labs work? Let's go down to this lab folder that's a subfolder from the Start Here tab. And this is how do the labs work. So let's read that first. The lab has been set up using simulations from the University of Colorado at Boulder, which was funded by the NSF, National Science Foundation. And these are great simulations. You can go directly to their website here, but the labs will be already downloaded into each lab folder in this Blackboard shell. So you don't necessarily have to go to their particular website to get the labs that you need. What you will need is the latest version of Java on your computer. And so you can go to this website to get that latest version of Java. And once you get that version, you'll find that Google Chrome has dropped support for Java files. So you cannot use Google Chrome browser with these lab files. You'll have to use Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, or any other browser that uses Java files, but not Google Chrome. All right, so let's go into a lab folder. And incidentally, here's the Java download page. So if I click on that, you can get your free Java download right there. Let's go into a lab folder and do a lab. Here's lab 2. When I go into this folder, there are 4 things here. And one thing is the main document in a PDF file. So that's really just your main document in a form that you can read and use as a reference, but there's nothing you can do to modify this file. It's just for your own benefit perusing. Let's close that. So your main file is this main document, which is a Word file. And in this Word file, I'm going to have to open it up here. You want to enable editing. And it's the same as that main file there, only on this one you can actually write in it. So you can write your answers, write your data into the tables, and do everything like that. Eventually you're going to want to write a conclusion. Oh, change the size for some reason. Eventually you're going to want to write a conclusion, and in the conclusion, you'll have 4 things. You restate the purpose, state the main data values for that purpose, state the percent error on the main data values, if applicable, and state at least 3 sources of error in the experiment. You'll always have to state 3 sources of error in the experiment, even if you had 0% error on the lab. So that'll be a paragraph that you put in there. And when you're done with this document, you're going to save it. but you want to take it out of protected view here. You want to save as a PDF file. So you're going to want to use this menu here to save as a PDF file, and once you save it to your computer, then you will attach it to a message and send that to me, and that will be your submission of the lab. Now, that's your main document. The lab executable is this red document, and sometimes in some of these labs you may actually have an Excel worksheet where you have to fill out data in the worksheet and get the results from the worksheet. So you're just calling that up and using this worksheet for your benefit. All right, so here's the simulation for this particular lab. And I'm going to have to open it here. It might take a little bit of time. And here's the lab simulation. So here's how it might work. I have a cannon here. I can adjust the angle of the cannon. I can even adjust its height here just by moving things around. I can adjust my target over here. I got a tape measure to measure the distance. I can pull this out as far as I wish. Just kind of play with this stuff. And I wish to fire, I fire. Oops. All right, so let's try a greater angle here. And I almost got the target. I'm going to put the target right there and fire again. All right, score. So I made it. So anyway, you play around the simulation and do what the lab document tells you to do, and that's it. You know, these simulations are great. As I said, funded by the National Science Foundation, and they are very typical of physics principles. All right, so let's go back and let's close this. So, 4 things. Most of the labs will only have 3 things. They might not have an Excel spreadsheet. But your main document, save it as a PDF, attach to a message, and send to me, and that will be your submission of the lab. 75% of your grade is actually the exams. So let's take a look down here at this exam folder from the Start Here folder, and let's see how the exams work. Said 75% of your overall grade will be the 4 exams compared to the quizzes, which each quiz is actually slightly less than 1%. So the exams are a big chunk of your overall grade. You have to be able to work out problems on paper and do that in a reasonable amount of time to pass this course. While the weekly quizzes are not proctored, in other words, there's no one monitoring what you do late on Sunday night, the exams must be proctored. There must be somebody reputable there to watch you and make sure that you're doing the exam properly. Fortunately, Calhoun has testing centers located at both the Huntsville and Decatur campuses, and proctoring at these testing centers is free. The exams will be submitted to those testing centers, so the student will simply walk into one of those centers during normal operating hours, submit an ID, give the course title and instructor, and take the exam there. And when the student is done with the exam, they will submit it there, and that exam will be held there until I come and pick it up or they send it to me. You will be allowed a basic scientific calculator, just one that can do scientific calculations, but no graphing and no calculators that can store pictures or formulas. You might be allowed scratch paper if you think you need it, but there is plenty of space on the exam copy for you to do calculations, so you probably won't need the scratch paper. You will be allowed a 4x6 inch formula card only for formulas and definitions. So there should be no worked out problems, no mathematics steps on these formula cards, only formulas and definitions. And when you're done with your exam, that formula card will be stapled to your exam and left with your exam there at the testing center. All your cell phones should be turned off, and probably they should be left with your backpacks away from the testing table. So you shouldn't be able to look at images or anything else on your cell phone while you are taking the exam. If you are too far away from the Huntsville or Decatur campuses to have your exams proctored there, then you must find a reputable representative at a local college or university to proctor your exam. And so you contact them and have them contact me so we can establish a connection, and I can give them the exam at the proper time. They can administer it to you at an agreed time with them, and afterwards you submit the exam back to the proctor. The proctor will scan it and send that scanned exam to me for grading. So that's how the exams work in general. If we look at more information in this folder, we see that we have the testing center location and hours. Here's a student guide to the testing center, so this has all those rules, including cell phones and what to do with calculators. Main thing from this is the hours. The testing centers are now open Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Both testing centers from 8 to 7, and on Friday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Now, most of my exam deadlines are either Tuesday or Thursday, so if you are completing it on the deadline day itself, then you have until 7 p.m. on that day. You want to get there at least by 5 p.m. so that you give yourself 2 hours to do the exam. And in fact, the testing centers will shut down at 6 p.m. So if you arrive after 6 p.m., they won't even let you take the exam. You can do a Friday exam only if it's not in the same week that the exam is due. In other words, if you do the exam early, then you could utilize that Friday morning time slot. All right, let's see here. What else is in this? We have a map. Here's the Decatur Testing Center, and it's located in the Noble Russell building, which is number 9 on this map. I'm located in building number 14, by the way, so not too far away, within walking distance. This testing center on the Decatur campus is not used very much, and it's beautiful. It's quiet, and the facilities are great, comfortable seats. I would suggest, if you can do it, it's well worth the extra drive to the Decatur campus to take your exam there. On the other hand, the Huntsville Testing Center, located in the Research Park campus building, if you go through the main entry, it's all the way back on your right, and that often is crowded and it's not as comfortable. So that's just my suggestion, but for your convenience, you have both. So the exams can be completed anytime before the testing deadline, but they must be completed by the testing deadline.